this is Sarah from sarayip.com, Facebook, the Numbers Queen, and Instagram. Sarayip1111 with the one, the only Vex King. Hello.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I love the 11s above your head.
Have I got it? Oh, wow. Well,
The
that's a
windows,
sign.
yeah, the windows in your apartment are just so celestial. Well, we've only got a short period of time, so we're going to call this the truth microdose, hey?
Oh, wow. Okay. 10 minutes. Let's go.
It's enough. It's enough to change the world. So Vex, if you had to describe yourself as an animal, what animal would it be?
That's a good question.
Yeah, mystical
I'm
creatures are
like,
allowed.
I'm actually gonna, I'm gonna actually say monkey because
Wow, that's interesting.
because I think I've always, since I was a child, I've always had a cheeky nature, and with the work that I do, especially online and in my books, it seems quite serious. But if you know me in real life, I
Yeah,
actually don't take life too seriously.
that's so
Um,
interesting.
I like to enjoy the small moments, and my mum always says that I'm still cheeky to this day. And I think my mum knows me best. So yeah.
I'd say so, given that her copyright is stamped on your butt pretty much. So thank you, Vex King's mum, for creating him. That's interesting because, well, I mean, firstly, most of our family are monkeys in Chinese astrology, and we are the naughtiest of all of them. Apparently, the least marriageable. Oops. But anyway, yeah. Well, look, I love monkeys, and what I love about what you just said is I mean, like I often say to people, your sense of humor is your sense of human. This is the
Mm,
number one quality we look for in a soulmate, apparently, according to studies, because humor doesn't age.
yeah.
Really is just that deep. It's very spiritual, isn't it? To be able to find the light in the situation, like that lightheartedness has so many meanings.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I went on a spiritual journey as such, and I started digging into the ancient literature, I almost felt like I had to suppress that kind of form of humanity to
Mm.
serve this spiritual image of who I should be. And it was, very serious, very serious in nature. And I thought actually, part of the spiritual experience is not to deny any aspect of you and to be able to find the light and the beauty in moments where, most people might find that it's lacking. And I think that a lot of people, especially that I've met, I suppose, over the years, find it difficult just to laugh
No, you're
at.
right, because laughter involves breathing and receiving and all those like emotions, feeling, being present, all the things that are, quite challenging in a tense environment in a consumerist society. I was going to say, so when I started my psychic career, which sort of happened by accident while I was, trying to save the world in charity, so that my greatest marketing tool was my laugh. So they would
Yeah.
always place me at the front, and I have a very loud laugh. My parents have tried desperately to quieten it. It's not worked. And so I would just have this huge laugh, and people would always just be like, I just want to see her because the laugh. And so I
Well,
feel like your writing has laughter. Like this is the book I'm currently loving, which is the journal. It's called the greatest self-help book, and I'm using it every day. And I feel like honestly, it's like you're just there with me as I'm using it. And I feel like there is one big cheeky face behind this. It's a real sense of glee, a real sense of like a cheerleader, a cheer squad. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does actually. It does. And can I just say, Sarah, that I love our calls because you always bring the humor and the laughter. I feel
Bring the
like we
grin.
spend we spend so much time giggling, but I think that's what makes the call so special, and it lightens. You'll say something that really resonates with me deeply, and then suddenly it's followed up by a joke, and I just love the duality of those moments. It's like, and it's not even a duality as such. It's just an aspect of the same thing, but it's almost like, I can feel something so deeply in one part of me, and then you bring a joke and it's just another part of me, but I'm feeling both those things very deeply. They're both emotions that feel good, they feel light and comforting in their different ways. And I would say, although you're the numbers queen, you also, you're almost the queen of comedy as such as
Oh,
well, which is
you're
great.
very lovely. I so appreciate that. I'm so, thank you so much. Look, I I learned to be funny as a defense, and I think a lot of us do. I mean, I was just so awkward, right? I'm 6 foot tall and I'm incredibly loud, and I just couldn't be Asian enough and I couldn't be girly enough. And so I guess you end up having to sort of find a way to socialize. And for me, it was just, I literally would, as a child, I would carry these joke books around and I would memorize the jokes. And when I would meet people, I'd be like, which joke would be appropriate? So I found out I had autism later, but I just wanted to see people happy, and I'm sure there's something there with you as well, that you really just get genuine pleasure when people kind of like break from their mental drudge.
Yeah, I think because, for people listening that might not be aware of my story yet, I grew up homeless for 3 years. I went through the poverty, the hardships, losing my dad at 6 months old, racism, violence, all that stuff. And they were major themes. Well, suffering and pain and poverty were major themes throughout my childhood. And it was strange. When I was younger, people would always gravitate towards me and they'd
Yeah,
always ask me for advice.
yeah.
And it would feel almost a bit inauthentic of me
Mm.
to give people advice when I was going through my own hardships. But within those moments, I felt the most alive. Like I felt like I had this purpose and I felt passionate about giving people advice. And it was just from my own self-awareness that I was, trying to guide people. And I also, even when you're younger and you don't get
Yeah,
on with people, I still didn't want people that I didn't quite get along with to experience the same hardship as me.
yeah,
So in a way, I was sharing my advice or, my guidance because I didn't want people to go through the same suffering and pain
yeah.
as I have. And to this day, although there's been much more healing and thanks
Mhm.
to people like you, I'm very well supported. But I find so much joy in just even within that moment, if I can uplift someone just for a split second, I feel in that moment there's hope. And
Yeah,
hope can help you so much, especially when you don't have or you feel like you don't have much going on in your life.
yeah.
When I was homeless and I didn't have much to look forward to,
Mm.
and someone gave me an ounce of hope, that gave me the confidence I needed to try and pursue a better life. And I think in those moments, if we can make people laugh, if we can, just make people maybe escape some of
Yeah,
the emotional mental turmoil that's going on within their minds, then they can see an alternative view of reality and they can almost pursue a different path. And I think that's why our work's so important, is that we can give people some kind of lightness, lighten the load that's happening within their minds, and maybe inspire them just for a split second. That's sometimes all someone needs. It's just that glimmer of
yeah.
hope.
Oh, totally, absolutely. And to inspire is to encourage someone to breathe. It's interesting because your name, Vex King, which you chose, has that 3811 vibration. 11, don't shoot the spiritual messenger. And also 38 is the vibration of laughter, and it's the vibration of psychic and healing and energy, and actually a lot of very esoteric things in your numbers. And so 3 is the mouth. So in chakras, it's the solar plexus, but in symbology, it's the mouth. And then 8 is infinity, the mouth of God, the mouth of source. And well, also we've talked about, kind of like a big mouth because you also have a 33 life path. So let's just say you'll never run out of things to talk about. Where do you identify with being a whistleblower? Like a lot of 33s, and I have a huge amount of 33s who come in who I love. Where do you identify with being a whistleblower in society? Where do you find you often are called in to referee or to to like create more fairness and justice.
It's funny when I was working a corporate job, my manager, so we used to have like one-to-ones periodically, and
Yeah,
my manager
yeah.
said to me, Vex, I just want to let you know that you're too honest. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he said, you speak your mind, and you know, there's moments where you can choose not to tell people everything, but you literally lay it all out on the table, and one day that might get you into trouble. Because I've gone through so much hardship, I've reached out to healers, you know, coaches, all kinds of people to try and find healing and try and find answers in my life. And
Yeah.
if I'm very honest with you, there's probably a small percentage which I think fall into the authentic category. And when I say authentic, I mean people that are true to their values, and have good intentions. And you're obviously one of them,
Thank you
those
so
people that we
much. Yeah.
right now. And I feel like there's a lot of people that put profit and popularity before people and purpose. Um, and I think that can be quite problematic. And I found even that when I didn't have much money, I was spending almost my last dollar
Yeah.
on trying to find a way out, trying to
Mm,
escape the suffering. And what I didn't realize was, or what I did realize and
mm.
continued making the same mistake, was that some people didn't truly care about me and my well-being.
Yeah.
They cared
Yeah.
about how much money that I would make them.
Yeah.
So when it comes to my own work, you know, I try and remember the younger Vex who needed
Mm.
someone and try not to prey on people's vulnerabilities. You know, I want to help people. And I think energetically, it's okay to put a price tag on your work,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, you know, I think if you're doing this work, people and purpose should always come before um, profit and popularity. When you have it that way round, I think actually, you know, people truly profit from your work as well. And when it comes to whistleblowing, what I've realized, especially in this space, that
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that might have started with the right intentions
Mm.
that have perhaps regressed some way. Maybe it's that they don't stay true to the spiritual practice, or maybe it's, you know, there's a lot of things that are enticing their ego. And I'm very quick, or I think natural to, I never call people out because that's not how I operate.
Yeah.
But what I will call out is, I think, behaviors and things that I feel like are hindering our spiritual expansion. And I don't know what it is, but it's just maybe it's the stuff I've gone through as a child. You
Yeah.
know, I think being unfairly used, being profited on, my vulnerabilities, I suppose, being you know, exposed. But I just don't want people to go through the things that I did, and I don't want people to almost feel cheated. And you know, I feel very strongly about that. So even when I
Yeah.
make a decision, and you know, there's a lot of things people don't see. You know, I release books, but I could be doing so much more.
Oh,
Um, and there's about 95% of projects that I'm offered that I say no to. And a lot of people don't see that
wow. That's
online.
really interesting. Okay, and that's quite
And
a that's quite powerful actually for you to even talk about that in public, I think.
and you know, I'm not, and you know, this, I've had offers to become like this TV star, to do
Yeah.
shows. There's been things that could really, you know, liberate my family financially.
Mm.
But when things don't align with my values, I have to make the decision to say no, because I think now in the world we have a lot of people that might have started with good intentions, but then suddenly they've almost lost their way. And I think if I'm in a place of leadership, and I'm not saying that I assume this place of leadership, but I think if people are looking up to me and taking inspiration from me, the message I want to send people is to be true to who you are. And if you're true to who you are, you can still find some level of success. Now, if I found level of success by not being true to who I am, then basically all the people that are looking up to me
Yeah.
are going to think that they would have to change themselves to be successful in this world. And I don't believe that, and nor do I stand for that. So for
Mhm.
me, it's being true to myself and then leading people along that authentic path. And, you know, sometimes it means that I have to walk slowly, or sometimes it means that I don't have this, you know, the commercial reach maybe that other people have, but, you know, that's okay. The most important thing, I think, is being true to our values and doing
Yeah.
good work.
Well, in the end, karma is forever.
Exactly.
And the internet is certainly forever. And I can tell you just, you know, the number of people where they did something 25 years ago and it's come back to haunt them. So we're in a world where it's becoming kind of maybe even easier to find those authentic people, because literally you can just read the reviews and there's always someone who's told the truth, you know, at this point. Well, and thank you so much. I know we're coming towards sort of the end, but so we know in numerology, your date of birth adds to 33, which is a master number. So you're known as a 33/6. Do you recall any sort of key events at the ages of 6 or 33, which were very eye-opening, or were to do with mental health or whistleblowing, or something that is kind of in your core purposes, this sort of master healer life path?
So it's strange with 6, you know, because I was incredibly young.
Yeah, of course.
I don't, you know, I don't always remember every moment, but what I will say is, especially with 6, so my dad passed away when I was 6 months old. And my life, you know, went through, you know, I would say it might sound like an exaggeration, but at the time, this is how it certainly felt, you know, terrible anguish, I would say. There was so much adversity, and probably at the age of 6, I was experiencing very traumatic events. For
Yeah.
example, seeing my family get hurt by gunmen, you know, seeing one of my family members' businesses get robbed, and feeling powerless and not being able to do
Yeah.
anything about it. So I think there was a lot of trauma around that time. On the flip side, at 33, I felt
Yeah.
like a lot of things changed. You know, I was finally able to pay back 33 years of my mum's debt that she had
Interesting
accumulated.
how it's, you know, the 33 comes back.
Yeah,
It'll probably be all throughout your life, actually, now that we're so aware of it. But yes. So yeah, you were able to
yeah.
help your mum to sort of be able to breathe easy.
And it was funny because when I was younger, you know, one of my goals in life was just to lighten the load for my mum. I saw my mum struggle her whole life. And, you know, I made a goal that, you know, one day I will, you know, change my mum's life around for her. And I no longer wanted to see her struggle. So
Yeah.
at 33, it almost felt like that dream came true. It was like, wow, I can actually finally help her and make sure she's free from the shackles of,
Yeah.
especially, you know, financial hardship, because that's all I'd witnessed my whole life. It was my mum going through that, plus, you know, other things involving, you know, toxic family members, strangers around my area that would
Yeah.
cause hassle and racism. So yeah, 33 was almost like that light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah. Of
which is
course.
but I would say between the age of 6 and 33, there were so many moments where I wanted to give up. And I'm so glad I didn't, and that I kind of made it through to see the age of 33, because there was probably a time, or multiple times, where I didn't
Yeah.
think I would continue to live till the age of 33 and be there.
You gave me such goosebumps. As you know, I'm a master 11, you're a master 33. And look, people have all kinds of numbers in their charts, but if you see 1111 and, you know, triple numbers, is a pretty sure sign there's some master number energy in there somewhere. And I think they have the double ups and the double downs. They have the world purpose, they're world workers. And I think the number one thing I have learned studying thousands of people with master numbers and myself is they need a constellation. You know, talk about it takes a village to raise a baby, but it takes a constellation to raise a star person or a star seed, which is someone who has ideas that come from the future, someone who is, you know, wanting to be that bright light in the gloom or in like some sort of oppressive environment or family. And they need a constellation, which is they need to really be connecting with people, whether they're alive or dead, you know, even because energetically we just need this safety net. This is my biggest thing. I'm like, if you're a high flyer, you need a safety net. And it could even be like, what would this person do in my shoes? And again, it might not be someone you've ever met, but just being able to tap into that frequency or consciousness can keep you going in those hard times. And I know, and we're just winding up now, but I know that your books have a very certain ethereal quality, and obviously Koshal as well has this beautiful angelic energy as a 7. But I just noticed that when I work with your books actually talk to me. Like it's like they're alive. That's not something I say lightly. I mean, just to let you know, I got cleared of being crazy by my psychologist recently. She wrote, no, she's just psychic. I literally feel like I open the book, like this one is I consciously release the past and live in the present. And I feel like the words actually are moving on the page. So to be honest, I would say, I know it's not entirely politically correct anymore, but it's a bit like those books in Harry Potter where they've got like a spirit in them. And
well,
I really love it. I feel like it's almost like I have like this new friend who's come into my life.
Well, I love that you've said that because when I write or create any kind of book or journal, I actually speak prayers into the pages as I'm going along. And one of the things that's at the forefront of my mind is that whoever receives this energy, I hope it uplifts them in some way or they can connect to it deeply. So it almost feels like that you're receiving that energy as you go through it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. I've worked with lots of creators and founders, and what I've noticed is when they create a physical product, essentially, if they upgrade themselves and they look after themselves, it's like the product itself goes through this kind of like rebirth. And so obviously, one of your greatest challenges is actually self-care. And we've talked about that how many times, right? And so it's interesting that now that you have all these people who essentially are in your field, maybe they'll also help to keep you accountable. I know for me, I often get feedback from my readers and fans if I've got a mistake or I'm looking a bit, overworked. They'll be like, "Wait, what's up, Yippee?"
Yeah. No, I get a lot of feedback on social media, and I can tell the people that are coming from a place of like care and concern, and it might not just be like spelling mistakes or like grammar mistakes or anything like that. It could just be that I've worded a message that they see as maybe problematic, and for me it's always about growth. It's like have I overlooked anything in putting this message out? And the thing is, I'm on this journey. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes, and there's things that I will overlook at times, and it's being receptive to that, because I don't see like followers as such. I just see them as people within my community who are on the same mission to evolve consciously. So it's nice speaking to people that are part of the community and receiving their feedback, despite how my platform is. On Instagram it's at 1.5 million, but there was a point where it was like 10 people, and nothing's changed in the way I operate my community. I still speak to people as often as I can on a one-to-one basis, and just treat everyone as part of almost like they're a brother or sister. It's not like I'm on this pedestal. It's that we're in this together and we're helping each other out. They help me as much as I help them.
That's one thing I've noticed that you and I do, which very few people do, is we respond to people. Like I'll always write, if they ask something, I'll always add a blog, and you'll always like add a little personal touch or a little hearts. And there's not many people who do that. So most of them just want the algorithm. So they just answer the first few comments to get the the uptake. But I noticed you will go right through it. And I thought, when I saw that, I went, we found one. We found another one. Yeah.
Well, I dedicate I've done it since like 2015. I dedicate a certain portion of my day to respond to people, and I think a lot of the time now people want to grow their followers, but they don't want to know their followers. And I think to best
that's a good one.
followers, well, how can you serve people if you don't know them? And I don't just mean their name and what they do for a living, but you can sense people's energy. I feel like there's always this transfer of energy, even if it's through social media. And I get that when I speak to people. So sometimes people will message me and be like, it's almost like you're psychic. All your posts seem to relate to me. And it's strange because I don't plan my posts like way ahead like other people. Some people have a 30-day plan. I just post what I feel like on the day. And
You channel the zeitgeist. I actually do the same. I didn't realize it for so long. I thought there was something wrong with me, but like when I do my forecast classes and things, I actually just sit there and I meditate and just I feel all these different people come in. It's like a choir. And then I just kind of
yeah,
like listen to one voice at a time and I write my little messages, and that's the 1111 frequency. You've literally got all the angels sitting together at the same typewriter in shifts. And that makes the
yeah,
work so holistic and so accessible and so, well, honest, because you've got,
mm,
you've literally got the four pairs of eyes on everything. And so, look, I'm just so grateful. I know we've gone a little bit over and sorry about that, but I do hope that we can chat again soon, do another microdose. I guess my last question is, if you weren't a writer,
yeah.
what would you love to be sort of spending your life doing?
That's a great question.
I've got some
Well,
suggestions just to let you know, but
I'm,
I
I'm,
wanted to hear your
I'm a
feedback.
very creative person.
Mhm.
And I like to channel inspiration in a variety of ways. So
Yeah,
one of those ways is music.
yeah,
Um, I'd probably be producing music or working with
yeah.
musicians. But you know what? It could be anything. Like I've got, I even love, like in my spare time, I research fragrances, and that sounds strange,
No,
but
no,
I
no.
like.
Actually, some of my very favorite people create fragrances because, that's actually super magic stuff.
Mhm.
It goes straight in, right? There's no like, it can really change you. So I actually really
Yeah.
respect that as a gift. And actually, one of the psychic gifts is being able to smell things and taste things from spirit.
But this is really strange. When I meditate, I can smell different things sometimes. Sometimes it'll be like the smell of roses. Um, it'll be even like foods sometimes, and it's just
Yeah.
so random. It's
It's
such a
called
song.
it's called clairgustance, and
Oh, okay.
there's different types of ways that we receive spiritual messages. And
Yeah.
well, I tell you what, that would be really good for cooking, but it would also be good for alchemy work. Yeah, fragrances, being able to sniff out a good deal. But also a lot of people with the smell sense, they can actually detect if people are healthy or not. That's one of the most prominent uses you would see. They can actually sort of smell if someone's like well.
Oh, wow, that's
That might
interesting.
be a
It's so
whole
interesting.
nother conversation.
Well, I've got such a strong sense of smell, but I also have a lot of nasal issues.
Which we've talked
Um,
about, and that's
yeah.
I feel like you installed that in yourself in a way so that you would have this kind of realness to you, because I believe that we kind of create our life paths and create our bodies and stuff. And I think you needed to add just a few little quirks so that people could relate to you, like the kind of the wise philosopher who can't stop blowing his nose. It's this kind of it feels better than someone who is just like carved of stone, carved of marble, and some just, immovable, unreachable person.
Well, I like that perspective, but I can definitely tell you that sometimes my issues keep me up at night. So
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I feel like that'll have to be a whole nother chat. Something must be in your face, hey? Some new opportunity.
yeah.
But anyway, we better wind up. I was just going to pull a card. So I was going to pull a card, and we'll just wind up here. So this is the Ten of Cups. So you have peaked pretty early in your life. I mean, you're only in your 30s, and look at
Mhm.
your incredible like writing success and your development and your amazing partnership. I mean, what's left to do? What's left to do? Are you going to sort of start a small nation or?
I have long term goals, but ultimately the main goal is just to, as cliche as it sounds, is to leave the world better than I found it. And I know it's very simple, and it's probably what every coach, author, personal development person says, but that is literally the goal. But it's finding creative ways of doing that and making whatever I produce or share accessible, digestible and relatable, because I sometimes feel like there's things that are shared that are just too above people's heads. It's kind of like, it sounds great and it just, people miss it, and I don't want people to miss it. I want people to find the value, the flavor in that particular thing and apply it to their life, so that they can, they can really really grow on their journey. And that's what I'm trying to do. So
it's like you're trying to encourage home cooking.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. I'm trying to return people home to their hearts, in a way that's fun, in a way that's, that they can enjoy, that's not too overwhelming. Because I think sometimes, although the spiritual work is hard, and I'm a testament to that because I've gone through so much, it doesn't always have to be hard. And we always talk about how hard it is, but there's also those moments where we cry with laughter, and we find joy, we smile, we experience the beauty of nature and the relationships around us. And I think all of that has so much value, and it's not spoken about enough. So, I'm trying to enlighten people in that sense as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as a 33, you're doing double inner child healing, and it's a lot about the future generations. And it's should I put this in? I'll put this in. So it's so funny because my little son really wanted to meet you, and he didn't quite make it, did you, Ziggy? Didn't quite make it. It's so funny, right? I was just trying to get him to sleep, and he just kept saying, "No, I want to be on the call." And then the minute you logged on, he logged off. And so all I can say is, if you ever want to have sort of a side job in lullabies or something, I'm sure you'd be highly successful with stressed mothers. But anyway, we'd better wind up. Thank you so, so, so much. There was just so much in that short chat. And I'm really looking forward to people's feedback. I'm sure they'll have lots of questions. You've just sort of opened multiple little compartments right there. But that's the best kind of conversation, isn't it?
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I feel like me and you could speak for hours upon end, and we unpack.
We know that we can. We have proof of that.
Yeah, we have proof, and we could unpack so much. But this is just a microdose, and it's the first of hopefully many others. So
I have a feeling. I have a feeling. I think that there's something higher at work here. Well, anyway, thank you so, so, so much. And I'm really grateful to everyone who's watching this. I hope that you found it really interesting. And the thing with healing, it's not about what people actually say or do. It's actually just the energy that they embody. And so I hope that you can sense from me and Vex talking that we are real people. And it's all that is we've just chosen to focus on the path of service. That's really all it is. And that is a daily choice that we have to keep making, and that that all of us can choose to make. And it's definitely not the easiest path, but it is the most epic, entertaining, exciting, elevating. And so I know me personally, I'm going to be doing it forever. All those people who say, "Oh, I hope it's my last lifetime on earth," I'm like, every single time I've said, "What? There's so much cool stuff to do here. I'm definitely coming back." And there's just like silence.
Yeah.
I'm always the one who's like, "I haven't even been here all that." You can tell I'm a recent import, can't you? Anyway. You're
so right. I think there was a part of me where I was like, oh my God, like, I hope this is the last cycle now. Like, I've had enough. This is too much. But once you learn to have fun with it, I think, and really own the journey. I actually would go as far as saying is that I didn't choose this path, that this path chose me. Like, I was actually trying to do everything else apart from this path.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And kind of I turned towards it, and I embraced it, and I've owned it, and I've had your support that's really helped me own this path and follow it. And then it was like, oh my God, there's so much pressure, there's so much responsibility. And then it was just like, let's just let go of all of that. Let's just be, let's just do, and let's just see what comes from it. And it is fun, and it can be fun. And yeah, there'll be resistance, and there'll be people that unconsciously maybe not working from the light, whether they know it or not, that try to resist or try to push back.
But
But it's
resistance
just,
is futile.
yeah, exactly. And I think, it's just, just bring the light. I think maybe I should call that, my next book, Bring the Light. Wherever you go, try to bring the light. And you can never go wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. You're talking to someone who used to work with the Prime Minister and kept getting fired from every job from being too honest. I still remember I wrote minutes, which is where you write down what people say. So, the minister would be like, shut up to someone, and I'd write, minister said shut up to the delegate. And then because because that's how my brain works. And then there would just be red pen, Sarah, don't do that again. The minister's really annoyed. I'm like, why? I was so accurate. I should be getting like a promotion. And so then eventually I said to my Mum, I need a job where they pay me money so that I get to tell the truth and I can just sit at home in my pajamas. Voila, psychic readings. Who would have known it was a job? It is now.
It's now, you created it.
Well, I'm really grateful to every single person who's ever backed me. So thank you. We'll reconvene. We'll gather some questions from people and spin out a few more particles soon. Thank you for being a very, very bright light in our lives. And hopefully Ziggy can stay awake next time. We'll put it out
Sarah.
there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I look forward to speaking to him next time. Hopefully he's
Okay,
awake.
take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.